everybody doing this evening? If you hadn't guessed already, we're talking about Activision. Should be exciting and fun and great and awesome. Guardsoul, Bridgerunner, hello. Good to see everybody. I'm going to put a big old disclaimer at the beginning of the stream. This shit's gonna suck. I'm going to be reading through the actual lawsuit that was filed by the Department of Housing and Fair Employment by California. We are going to be reading that lawsuit, and shit's going to get real, y'all. I've also recently found out today one of the executives is a former Bush-era torture apologist, so there's that. It's going to be a fun day today. So, here's what I'm going to do. This is my big disclaimer. Serious topics. If you do not want to deal with serious topics, then that's... yeah. My stream seems quiet. What's that? It's like hella loud for me. I have nothing left, not to spare. Shouldn't be here. I drew a line. I fell apart. Try to get there. I swear to you, this is the last time. I want you to be. Alright, I'll turn the music down. Is that any better? Alright. This music kind of slaps, though. We also have alcohol, because we're going to need that today. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so here is the article done by Bloomberg Law. This was the one that really kind of broke the story. So Activision Blizzard sued over frat boy culture harassment 1, in parentheses. I don't know why that's there. So we have the court, we have the track docket, and the company. Hey Joyrock, work is a great time to be on Twitch. Yeah. Alright, video game giant Activision Blizzard, maker of games including World of Warcraft and Diablo, fosters a frat boy culture in which female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation, according to a lawsuit filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. I'm just going to break this down paragraph by paragraph. First and foremost, this does not actually surprise me at all. For those of you who have been following me a while, you know I was also involved in the Blade of Agony controversy, which, if you follow my Twitter, you know some of the comments that I got on that particular video. So, this does not come as a shock to me. Amazingly so. Am I pissed about it? Yes. Am I angry about it? Yes. Am I sad about it? Yes. Am I surprised? No. Yeah, and it's not something I'm going to get into today. I do have a stream highlighted if you want to find out more about that. So yes, this does not surprise me, funny enough. So, I'm just going to get that out of the way first. None of what's happened here surprises me. A 2-year investigation by the state agency found that the company discriminated against female employees in terms and conditions of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, and termination. Company leadership consistently failed to take steps to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. According to the complaint filed Tuesday in the Los Angeles Superior Court, female employees make up around 20% of the Activision workforce, which is pretty good, and are subjected, and again, that's 1 in every 5 employees. That's not little. Are subjected to a pervasive frat boy workplace culture, including cube crawls in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees. Now, this is a new one for me. I've never heard of a cube crawl. I've never seen this in, like, a movie or This is the first time I've ever heard of this happening in an office. So, okay. And drinking on the job, that's also interesting. Okay. So, it's a big tower of drunk bachelor pad, essentially. The agency alleges male employees play video games during the workday while delegating responsibilities to female employees, engage in sexual banter, and joke openly about rape, among other things. Yeah. Female employees allege being held back from promotions because of the possibility they might become pregnant, being criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare, and being kicked out of lactation rooms so male colleagues could use the room for meetings, complaint says. Okay, so several violations here. We know that the Fair Labor Act basically prohibits all that kind of behavior, right? You know, if you're in the US and you know what the Federal Labor Act is, it's pretty much all of those things are on the do not do list. Every company is supposed to provide some place safe for a woman to, you know, express her milk or whatever. That is federal law. And again, discrimination based on the ideas of pregnancies. Yeah. No. Is it bad? I'm kind of hoping this is a death blow for Blizzard. Absolutely not. You are about the same boat as everybody else at this point. Let's just be honest. The problem is, and it's funny you say that because every other corporation has pretty much weaseled their way out of some really serious shit. This, though, takes the cake. I mean, I know we talk about all the time these big AAA companies having crunch culture and things like that really just use up devs. But this is like the first time, really, that, you know, you hear of things happening with like individual female devs and individual experiences coming from like the bottom up, but never from the top down like this. Don't even hate on Blizzard, but they knew this was going on for ages, and there's some disgusting shit they punched under. Well, we're gonna get to that in a little while because we have a fun story about that. Yeah. Okay, so female employees working for World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior, the agency alleges. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, trigger warning, suicide mention. The suit also points to a female Activision employee who took her own life while on a company trip with her male supervisor. The employee had been subjected to intense sexual harassment prior to her death, including having nude photos passed around at a company holiday party, the complaint says. The agency seeks an injunction forcing compliance with workplace protections, as well as unpaid wages, pay adjustments, back pay, and lost wages and benefits for female employees. Now, this is a ballsy claim, but sounds par for the course considering this is a consistent culture that is being alleged here. This, yeah, I mean, this kind of fits, unfortunately. And it's horrible. There will be more to this particular complaint as we actually read into the lawsuit itself. So, I can pretty much tell you which spokesperson this was, but we'll just go ahead and read this. We value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. There is no place in our company or industry or any industry for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind, a spokesperson for Activision Blizzard said in a statement. We take every allegation seriously and invest all claims. In cases related to misconduct, action was taken to address the issue. The DFEH includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. We have been extremely cooperative with the DFEH throughout their investigation, including providing them with extensive data and ample documentation, but they refused to inform us what issues they perceived, the statement continued. The picture the DFEH paints is not the Blizzard workplace of the today, the company said. If you had to say you value diversity in mission statement, chances are you probably don't. Bingo! I talked about this a lot with Amazon as well. I mentioned this because we had a Doomworld thread about it. I'm not going to open up that thread because it's kind of just reiterating all this. But if you have to say that you value diversity and then not back that shit up, you don't actually value diversity. Like, this is why everybody harps on corporations just blindly putting rainbow flags in their icons during Pride Month, because so many of these companies don't actually care about LGBTQ people, so why are they putting their rainbow flag in there? They just want to appeal to the most people possible and pretend like they give a shit for about a month or so, and then they go back to doing whatever shitty things it is that they're doing. Amazon has a whole FAQ page, essentially, where they're like, oh yeah, we totally value inclusivity and diversity and all that stuff, and basically work their employees to death in, you know, sweatshop warehouses. So, everyone says they take the allegations seriously. The only way HR departments take allegations seriously is to cover it up as quickly as possible. Yep. So, and this sort of just sums up what's going on. Randomness with Zuzu, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I apologize that my alert is on a white background. So here is the case. We'll talk about this in just a second. So, I can pretty much almost guarantee you I know who made this comment, and that is our good friend, Fran Townsend. Now, for those of you who don't know, we're going to go look her up really quick. You can tell I've been already doing a little bit of research today. Hello, Spoon. We are talking about Activision and their current lawsuit with California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing. So this stuff is specifically Blizzard. I was unclear on whether it was Activision and or the Blizzard end or what. I'm kind of not sure, but I mean, at this point they all fall under the same umbrella, right? You know, it's technically Activision Blizzard. So, they're one and the same. But, honest to God, I think probably some of this stuff happened. I'm sure plenty of this stuff happened before the merger. I don't know how long ago the merger actually happened, but I imagine this was going on in both places. I mean, this is a fairly consistent corporate culture that's happened in a lot of gaming industries, so. Okay, so this story is probably going to lead into what I'm talking about. It's amazing how easily some places open themselves to lawsuit. Years ago, I was dating a 19-year-old I worked with at Walmart. There was a guy I worked with in his late 30s who started flirting with her, eventually telling her, I'm excited to be a cradle robber with you. What the fuck? When she told management, they questioned him, he said she led him on because she went to lunch with him. She didn't. In response, a female manager told her there would be no consequences because she led him on. Murder happened in 2008. So, yeah. So that's 13 years ago. So, that scans. Not his only offense either. Oh, of course not. Somebody who says excited to be a cradle robber? The fuck? That is horrendous, and I'm so sorry for that girl, and I hope she's doing better, and I hope she's in a better place, because Jesus fucking Christ, that is a horrible thing to say to somebody. Okay, so Miss Frances Townsend, we're going to talk about her. Now, this is going from Wikipedia, which I know Wikipedia is not a real source, but we can always, you know, you can always fact check your other sources if you like. But the main thing to know about her is that she was a former Homeland Security advisor to President George W. Bush, so conservative Republican. Now, you may ask, how did this woman get to Activision? And at this point, we don't even know. Because, this is the only sentence we have. Townsend joined Activision Blizzard as Executive Vice President for Corporate Affairs, Corporate Secretary, and Chief Compliance Officer in March 2021. And there was a huge hullabaloo about this already. So, keep in mind, this woman, I'm pretty sure, made that statement, but we'll confirm that in a minute. She has only been here since March of 2021. This year. 4 months. She knows absolutely... You can't... I mean, you can feel... I mean, I don't want to say you can't feel the culture of of a company, but it's very hard to feel it when you're sitting up in the top floor offices, all the way up there, not with the regular folks, right? Automod, what? Why does Automod censor put? Fuck you, Automod, you're so stupid. She was entirely put up to that statement? Hang on. Hang on, because we're going to talk about that. So keep in mind, she is former Homeland Security Advisor to George W. Bush from 2004 to 2007. So, 2004 to 2007, that's... Huh. What happened in 2004? So the Iraq War started in 2003. So she was 2004 to 2007. So this was in the middle of the Iraq War, right? Yeah, we'll be doing a little bit of mapping after this. Depending on how long I take to talk about this. So, do you know what happened during the Iraq War? A lot of shit, obviously, but we had a lot of things going on, like, we talked a lot about torture, right? We talked about torturing and interrogating prisoners of war. This is the woman who pretty much put those torture is okay things into law, essentially. She is a torture apologist. Pisces and Crises, thank you very much for the follow. So this is a little bit of a problem, right? Because we have somebody who... She was part of the Counter-Extremism Project. Oh, she was part of CNN. Wow. I wonder how conservative CNN was back in 2008. CNN is hella left-leaning now. And then CBS, which I think they're relatively neutral. But keep in mind, this is pretty much the only woman executive at Activision Blizzard right now. I'm about 99% sure. Or one of the only ones. So... I'm just kind of skimming this because I don't want to read this whole thing. So, alright, well, okay. Lots and lots of stuff. She worked with Janet Reno, which Janet Reno has her own colorful background. I think she was part of the Waco operation, Waco, Texas operation, and we all know about that. Or if we don't, then, you know. Super played but always fun to yell about Activision. Welcome, Puzzle. We're yelling. So, obviously, pretty close post 9/11. We obviously in the U.S. went through a lot of different shit, right? I'm not 100% well versed on this, but we also had a lot of things like Waco happen, Ruby Ridge. Lots of very conservative call to action sorts of things happening during that time when we were, you know, getting the Freedom Act and all that stuff together. So I'm not hugely brushed up on my early 2000s history as I should be, so I'm not. If I say something wrong, please correct me. My view on this is, this shit is awful. All of it was awful. Okay. We'll just read this paragraph because it kind of just tells me the meat of what she's done on that sort of end. So, despite concerns about Townsend's past as a Democratic appointee, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice hired her for the National Security Council in spring 2003 at the urging of counterterrorism chief John A. Gordon and Homeland Security Advisor Richard A. Clarke. In December 2003, she coordinated government terrorism responses that led to the grounding of flights from Europe during the holiday season. I'm not sure what that's about. What's this? I wonder what that was about. Does anybody know what that was about? I'm a little bit confused by that because it doesn't really tell me anything. Were they having, sort of like a terrorist watch at that point? Hey, Umbergurna. You're Italian, no problem. This goes to show you how shit our U.S. schooling is, because they don't tell us any of this shit. Like, what happened in 2003 that made everybody ground their flights? I'm so confused. Alright, well. They do teach you about guns, though. Yeah, everybody knows Second Amendment back and forth. But, you know, we kind of don't know much else. We know our First and our Second Amendment rights, and after that, we don't fucking know. He was leaving a high school thing in 2003. I was in fucking 3rd grade. I was 8. Which is scary to think about. That was nearly 20 years ago. Alright. She was appointed Assistant to the President for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism on May 28, 2004. During her tenure, she oversaw an intelligence reorganization and conducted the first post-9/11 review of the White House's anti-terrorism campaign. Ah, so this is when shit got kind of real, essentially. Wiki stream confirmed. Hello, Picadum. We're talking about Frances Townsend because she's going to be important to this story. Townsend served as the public face of the Bush administration while was under criticism for allegedly overreacting to dated intelligence in its decision to raise terrorist threat levels during an election season. She also inspected Iraq's Abu Ghraib prison as an envoy of President Bush. Townsend was tapped to implement broad changes in the Intelligence Committee recommended by a presidential commission headed by former Senator Chuck Robb and U.S. District Judge Lawrence Seiberman. Then served in the U.S. Department of Justice, including the Senate's Council to the Attorney General for Intelligence Policy in the George W. Bush administration. She was appointed National Continuity Coordinator under auspices of National Security Presidential Directive 51. Yeah, I tend to keep, I mean, my just chatting streams tend to be a little bit small, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I need to be able to, like, follow my own chat. I'm not used... Like, when I got that raid last week, I'm like, I can't even keep up with my chat. It's gone so fast that I can't even read anything that anybody's saying, so... It was completely nuts. So, while I loved the attention, that chat was, like, the most... Like, I had anxiety getting, like, that many messages all at once. But anyway, no. Very, very happy about that. Alright. So she works with ProBT, which is a global consulting firm. The Atlantic Council's board of directors. Other memberships include Partnership for Secure America, Council on Foreign Relations, and Leadership Council for Concordia. And she was on the short list for Trump. So, I kinda don't want her anywhere near any other women, to be perfectly honest. She doesn't seem like the most qualified person. What her job is, though, is compliance, essentially. So I guess that works. But that brings us to this tweet. An email sent to Activision staff from Fran Townsend doubled down on claims that the recent lawsuit is distorted and untrue with out-of-context stories. Here we go. At best, she's a puppet. At worst, she's that much worse. So, this doesn't say anything about her involvement with laws regarding torture, so I'm not going to say anything that might be blatantly untrue. But considering she is part of anti-terrorism, especially during the Iraq War, she obviously had something to do with that, right? So, she's the executive sponsor of an employee women's network, which, yeah, especially once we read this email. Kenny, you already know about this one. I saw you retweet it. Actually, you're the person who brought it to my attention. As the executive sponsor of the ABK Employee Women's Network, oh, it says it right there, and our chief compliance officer, I wanted to reach out to you. I know this has been difficult for many of us. A recently filed lawsuit presented a distorted and untrue picture of our company, including factually incorrect, old, and out-of-context stories, some from more than a decade ago. So, pardon me, but what's out of context about a female employee committing suicide after nude pictures were passed around of her? What context did he give? Because we're gonna read this lawsuit, and hon, you're gonna have to give me a lot of context. Prime of the morning? Hi, Prime. Good to see you. The Activision companies of today, the Activision companies that I know, for 4 months, are great companies with good values. When I joined the executive leadership team, I was certain that I was joining a company where I would be valued, treated with respect, and provided opportunities equal to those afforded to the men of the company. For me, this has been true during my time. Executive Vice President for Corporate Affairs, Corporate Secretary, and Chief Compliance Officer. Bitch! What? So, somehow, in the 4 months that you've been here, you've figured out that you definitely have it way better, and therefore all of the people under you have it way better. Do I fact that right? Keep in mind, Activision has 9,500 employees. 9,500 employees. Did you talk to all of them? Did you talk to them? Did you actually talk to them? As a leader, I am committed to making sure that the experience I have is the same as the rest of the organization. We have a leadership team that is committed to these principles in every way. We work at a company that truly values equality and fairness. Rest assured that leadership is committed to to maintain a safe, fair, and inclusive workplace. We cannot let egregious actions of others and a truly meritless and irresponsible lawsuit damage our culture of respect and equal opportunity for all employees. We aspire in our company to do great things in our games, in our impact on society, and in our work environment. We continue to hold firm to our principles and invest, as we have in the past, the resources to ensure quality opportunities for all employees. We remain committed as a leadership team to doing what is right. That is all I have to say to this particular email. Months! You have been on this committee 4 fucking months! And you somehow know 15 years of history that is going to be covered in this lawsuit. You're up there with Day 9 for your card? Oh, thank you! Well, I appreciate that very much. I will be getting more alcohol in a bit, but I'm not going to quite yet. Now. Apparently they finally chucked in a little sentence about her being in Activision. Check LinkedIn to make sure it was the same person. I will always be inspired by the women and allies who have fought and by those who continue to fight for a more inclusive and equitable world. Let's all follow their example and choose to challenge each day and every day. So lying on your back and just letting the dudes tell you that these lawsuits are frivolous, that does not seem like a choose to challenge action to me, ma'am. I'll take shit that C-Suite say for 300, Alex. Perfect response. So yeah, but before we get too much more pissed off, here is the original lawsuit. So, these are all the chief council members. This is notarized, filed on July 20th. Department of Fair Employment and Housing in the Superior Court in the state of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Department of Fair Employment and Housing and the Agency of the State of California, plaintiff versus Activision Blizzard Inc., Blizzard Entertainment Inc., and Activision Publishing Inc., and does 1 through 10 inclusive. Defendants. So basically, so this is also coming back to when Activision and Blizzard hadn't merged yet, is what I'm getting out of this case. Or out of this defendant statement here. Okay, so this is just the introduction saying that this is... Does 1 through 10. Does 1 through 10. Who is that? Oh, does 1 through 10. Oh. Doe defendants are persons or entities or whose names were not yet known to find out. Oh, does. Okay. That... Does 1 through 10. Okay. So does 1 through 10, these are people who do not... I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand lawyer speak sometimes. Does 1 through 10, these are people who have come forward, but they don't want to be identified, which is fine. So, anonymous testimonies, exactly, which we will be going through a little bit today. So this is a 29-page lawsuit filing. This is not the actual contents of the lawsuit, obviously. It hasn't gone through court yet. But this is... well, John Doe means anonymous, essentially. That's what it's... pretty much any criminal investigation will refer to anonymous testimonies or anonymous persons as a John Doe or a Jane Doe. And I know this because I used to take forensics. But that is proper terminology for anonymous testimony in at least in the U.S. I don't know how everybody else does it, but that is how it is in the U.S. It just didn't occur to me because it's been a while since I've actually read a lawsuit that I didn't. The last time I read a lawsuit was for Nexium, which I may do a video on them eventually. Unions are actually... I'm skeptical of unions, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but I used to work for retail and our union did absolutely nothing to help us, especially when they cut our jobs basically in half. I used to work at Kroger, and yeah, our union kind of didn't really do much of anything to help us out, really, so, you know. Anyway, alright. headquartered in California since the 1970s, where the nation's strongest anti-harassment, equal pay, and other equal employment opportunities protections exist for employees, defendants should be a safe haven workplace in the video gaming industry. Sexism has plagued the male-dominated gaming industry for decades, and increasingly so in recent years. Women and girls now make up almost half of gamers in America, which is pretty verifiable, and this is something I talked about in the college thesis. But the gaming industry continues to cater to men, even in California. It does, and that's the thing. The wider gaming community still does very much cater to men. It's getting better, but we still have a long ways to go. Activision Blizzard's double-digit percentage growth, 10-figure annual revenues, and even in recent diversity marketing campaigns have unfortunately changed little. Defendants' compliance with California's broad workplace protections is long overdue. To enforce such compliance, DFEH brings this government enforcement action seeking to remedy, prevent, and deter defendants' violations of the state's civil rights and equal pay laws to vindicate the rights of defendants' female employees in the public interest of the state of California. So, we got some citation. Ooh, Gamergate. Yay! We get to refer back to Gamergate. I've actually not studied Gamergate too heavily, which is something that I will have to eventually do. The last time I talked about or listened to anything about Gamergate was actually when I was a conservative girl back in, 2018, 19, and didn't know any better. And I was listening to a relatively conservative channel called TLDR, or TLDR, and they kind of put Gamergate in a pretty negative light. But yeah. So, but anyway, this is just a citation that they're using. Feminist critics of video games facing threats in Gamergate campaign. So, are being threatened. Yeah. So yeah, Gamergate is a thing, and it's still pretty heavy on people's minds. Unfortunately, I'm not as well educated about it as I should be, and that's something that I am going to start doing pretty soon, I think, because it seems to be a thing that we kind of have to do now is educate ourselves about these issues. So, but ethics in journalism, yeah, pretty much. Okay, so moving on. Activision Blizzard is headquartered in Santa Monica, California. It is one of the largest American video game developers and distributors with approximately 9,500 employees and over 100 million players worldwide. It is considered a leading gaming platform in the Western world, and it is a member of the Fortune 500 and S&P 500. Activision Blizzard conducts business through its subsidiaries, Blizzard Entertainment, King Digital Entertainment, and Activision Publishing, Inc., among others. Activision Blizzard also operates global esports competitions, Overwatch League, and Call of Duty League. The video game franchise Call of Duty is Activision Publishing's key product. Blizzard Entertainment maintains the online gaming service Battle.net and includes key franchises such as World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. Unlike its customer base of increasingly diverse players, Defendant's workforce is only about 20% women. Its top leadership is also exclusively male and white. Well, except for now, we have Fran Townsend. The fact that they filed this and they didn't know that Fran Townsend was actually part of the the top tier, the top brass, is interesting. Gotta go back to work. All right, J-Rock, thank you for hanging out. Have a good day. So, CEO, yeah, okay, so very few women ever reach top roles at the company. The women who do reach higher roles earn less salary, incentive pay, and total compensation than their male peers, as evidenced in the defendant's own records. So here's CEO Robert Kotick. Dennis Durkin is executive advisor and former CFO. Daniel Allegra, which is president and COO. Claudine Naughton, which is chief people officer. Interesting. Chief people officer. Chris B. Walther, I have no idea what he even does. Who's Chris Walther? Chief Legal Officer, so CLO. So, I don't know what Francis Townsend's current package is, but because we have no data on that. So I'll be curious to see if it's something like on par with Chris Walther's salary. So, similar disparities exist throughout the company, like executive ranks. Women across the company are assigned to lower paid and lower opportunity levels. Female employees receive lower starting pay and also earn less than male employees for substantially similar work. Defendants promote women more slowly and terminate them more quickly than their male counterparts. Faced with such adverse terms and conditions of their employment, many women have been forced to leave the company. Now, I'm always a little bit iffy when that particular argument comes up. I'm nervous whenever that argument comes up. I don't necessarily hate that that's an argument that's coming up because it's one that's used a lot, but it's actually hard to really substantially prove. So I will be curious to see what kind of proof they come out with on this. You know, like if you compare the resumes side by side, do they match? You know, or work experience side by side, do they match? The answer will probably be yes, but we have had a lot of cases like this where it's kind of gone to shit because they couldn't really substantially prove that the pay was actually unequal. Because either you have less work experience as far as years, as far as length, or you have less relevant experience. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but I am going to tend to be a little bit harsher on that point. One thing that I don't want to do with this lawsuit is completely blindly excuse everything, because, yeah, this particular point has been a bugbear to try to actually legitimately prove. So I'll be curious to see what they will be able to do as far as proving this particular point here. Defendants have also fostered a pervasive frat workplace culture that continues to thrive in the office. Women are subjected to cube crawls in which male employees drink alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles and engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees. Male employees proudly come into work hungover, play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. I fear that too, and that's the thing. The problem is that with lawsuits like this, sometimes agencies get a little overzealous, and people can get off on technicalities, because you have to make sure proof, especially when you're talking about things that are as quantifiable as pay. You have got to have your shit airtight. And that's not necessarily a stain against anybody in particular. That is just how it is in the court system. They have to have evidence to convict somebody of a certain thing. And things such as unequal pay are continuing to be a problem because we haven't had enough good cases of people presenting an airtight, waterproof case for that sort of thing. Which, it sucks. It really sucks that we constantly have this idea of, you know, unequal treatment, but we can't really prove it in any good quantifiable way. Pay is a great way to do that, but you're going to have to really be careful about that. Oh, I guess I was supposed to go up here. Somebody kind of screwed that up. Okay, so unsurprisingly, defendants' frat boy culture is a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. Female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, including having to continually fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male coworkers and supervisors, and being groped at the cube crawls and other company events. High-ranking executives and creators, engaged in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. In a particularly tragic example, a female employee committed suicide during a business trip with a male supervisor who had brought butt plugs and lubricant with him on the trip. Does he have a wife? Because otherwise, this shit's inexcusable. Defendants continuously condone the quid pro quo and hostile work environment. The message is not lost on their employees. That... Okay, now I need a drink. I need another drink and I'll be back. Why would you ever bring that shit on a company trip? Why? Why would you? Why? What purpose does it serve to bring butt plugs and lubricant on a company trip unless you plan on banging your wife or girlfriend in a hotel room? Do not be bringing that shit. And on a company trip, guys. Why? Somebody's revving their engine back behind me. Oh well. Yo, we get it, your penis is small. Alright. We are only on page 5 of this lawsuit, and I'm already, like, tired, and I want to just... Everything sucks, and I almost don't want to read more, but... Yeah, that sounds about right. Alright. Numerous complaints about unlawful harassment, discrimination, and retaliation were made to defendants, human resources, personnel, and executives, including Blizzard Entertainment's president, J. Allen Brack, but defendants failed to take effective remedial measures in response to these complaints. Employees were further discouraged from complaining as human resource personnel were known to be close to alleged harassers. An internal investigation into the human resource unit noted there was a big lack of trust and that HR not held in high regard. Unsurprisingly, complaints were treated in a perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential. As a result of these complaints, female employees were subjected to retaliation, including but not limited to being deprived of work on projects, unwillingly transferred to different units, and selected for layoffs. So this is just saying, hey, you know, the FEH is doing this. These are the parties. So this just talks about those two people. Defendant Does 1 through 10 inclusive are sued herein pursuant to the Code of Civil Procedure 474. DFEH is ignorant of the true names or capacities of defendants sued herein under the fictitious names Does 1 through 10 inclusive. The FEH will amend this complaint to allege their true names and capacities when the same are ascertained. The FEH's informed believes or alleges that each of the fictitiously named defendants is legally responsible for the occurrences, injuries, and damages alleged herein. So I'm going to guess this is pretty much all of those lovely corporate executives, and I hope Fran Townsend is number 1 on the list. So basically, this is a lot of legal jargon. Basically, what this is saying, because I'm not going to read the whole thing. Basically, this is saying that all the defendants are equally responsible of this. Defendants exercise domination and control over one another to such an extent that any individuality or separateness of the defendants does not, and at all times herein mentioned, did not exist. So everybody's being treated equal here, essentially, as far as share the blame. So there's a lot of super duper legal jargon. Here's something that is important though. After more than 2 years of investigation, 2 years of investigation, folks. Not 2 months, not 2 weeks, not 2 days, 2 months or 2 years of investigation. So a fucking long ass time that this has been going on and being investigated. Yeah, no, it's frivolous. They have nothing. Do a trick? I don't do tricks. I don't do tricks for follows. Why would I do that? Why don't you do a trick and then you can follow me if I think you're worthy enough to follow. Either that or I'm gonna just eat you out of my chat. We're waiting. I don't know you. What's wrong with asking for tricks? I don't know you. Who are you? But why am I beholden to do something for somebody just because they tell me to? Why don't you do a trick? Show it. Or did you want to specify the trick? Because I don't know what you mean by trick. You want to talk about it? Here, I have a trick. I will make you magically disappear from my stream. Dumbass. What the fuck do you mean by you want me to turn around and shake my like the fuck, man? What the fuck was that? What? I'll turn this default back into the domestic file. Another streamer friend had that guy come in and pull the same shit. I feel... Did this dude follow me at some point? I don't even know. All my history's gone of, like, that raid that happened. All my follows and stuff are gone. Huh. And double X is the beginning of the name, you know he's really cool. How's it going, Sagittarian? Oh god. Okay, back to the topic at hand. So yes, 2 years they've been investigating this. But yeah, no, they don't have any proof. This is totally frivolous. It's out of context. They have been investigating this longer than this person making this statement has even been in the company. Somebody tell me where the fucking logic is in that. Because I'm struggling here. I'm struggling to find out where... Why? It's bullshit. Okay, so... So yeah, lots and lots of evidence of all of the things that we've talked about above. DFEH attempted to resolve this matter without litigation. prior to filing the civil action, the FEH required all parties to participate in mandatory dispute resolution in the department's internal dispute resolution division free of charge to the parties in an effort to resolve the dispute without litigation. So, at this point, obviously, the DFEH, or pretty much any government entity, is not going to do this without trying to remedy it outside of court, right? Because, let's face it, the government does not like spending money on things. So, ooh, it's chilly. Okay. Sorry, I just missed some music. I'm gonna skip that song. I like that though. I like this song actually. This actually reminds me of hide and seek a little bit. I'm gonna skip that though. Okay, so they tried to resolve this without taking it to court, right? So it's not like this was suddenly sprung up on Activision and them not understanding that something was going on, right? They were being investigated already for this. So, at this point, Activision is literally just full of shit right now because they know that the DFEH has been investigating them, and the DFEH also tried to settle this, or resolve this, out of court. So, and it's actually really funny because I've actually been going through the same thing at my job a little bit, right? So part of my job is I work in hospitality, right? I'm an accountant for a country club. And one of those things is that I had to work with every food and beverage outlet to make sure that all of their tickets are right. So I've been one of the outlets that we have has really high price points. I mean, people spend on average $300 a ticket. So we want to make sure those tickets are accurate and right. So this outlet got a new manager in the last year or so. This manager has been the biggest pain in my behind, and today I finally said, I've had enough. I have tried to resolve so many different issues with this person. They get on the phone with me, they get short with me, they get pissy at me, and I just have to put up with it. So finally today, after the third time I have talked to this person about making the same mistake, or their server making the same mistake, they just say, I just said, you know what, enough's enough. It's starting to affect membership, people are getting mad. I'm going to have to actually talk to the food and beverage director, who's above all of the managers of food and beverage. This shouldn't even be his problem, right? This should have been resolved way long in the past. Because I've already talked to this manager a few times, and by, the second or third or fourth time, you would think they would get it. But no. And the thing is, I don't think I'm the only person who talked to them about this, right? I actually had to get pissed off, and I said, you know what? I've had enough. I'm taking this to the food and beverage director, and he can talk with you about this because I'm done. I'm done having to sit here and be nice and then get yelled at because I'm trying to prevent members from yelling at you. Essentially is what I'm doing. So we'll see how that meeting goes. And $20 says this dude is going to be in my inbox, pissed off at me because he probably knows that I narked on him. But at this point, I don't care because what my focus is just to make sure that things are right so that when members get their bill, they don't have to call us back and we have to go back and fix it. Because it's easier to fix something ahead of time before it becomes a problem. Which is what the DFEH essentially did with this case, right? They tried to fix it before it became a big public problem. Activision had the chance to squash all of this. They actually had a chance way before this lawsuit to fix it. They already knew that at least 2 years ago that this may be a problem for them. So, hey, you may want to chill out on the frat boy attitudes. You may want to start treating your female employees a little bit better. And then it doesn't have to turn into a lawsuit, I mean, and it's Activision. They've made Call of Duty. It's not like they're hurting for money. So, at this point, you kind of just have to go, well, bed made lie. This is essentially what has happened here. So this is basically what everything that was the government is seeking, which the Bloomberg article pretty much sums up. So factual allegations. I have a tendency to have a problem with the term factual allegations. But I'm essentially saying that, I guess this is basically saying that until we present all the actual proof that we have, this is an allegation rather than an actual, fact, until it's proven in a court of law. So, which is pretty normal legal jargon, right? So, defendants have engaged in and continue to perpetuate discriminatory practices regarding pay, assignment, and promotion and other terms and conditions of employment, which negatively impact the female employees. Begin a hire when women are offered lower compensation and less lucrative job assignments and opportunities than their male counterparts. So this is kind of a lot of the things that we've already talked about. Women were also afforded less stock and incentive pay opportunities. Female employees were overwhelmingly assigned to the lower grades levels without stock and incentive pay opportunities or less opportunities. Female employees also received less stock and incentive than male employees. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. Women are steered into lower level defendants hierarchy and also had to work harder and longer to earn equal promotion and other opportunities as their male counterpart. As an example, female employees working for Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level role, denied equal pay, and subsequently sought a promotion because she had been carrying out duties exceeding her job description. She was repeatedly told it was not her turn and others deserved a promotion ahead of her. Ultimately, the employee was promoted after 3 years, while her male counterpart was promoted within a year of his hire, despite having started several months after her. Her male counterpart was also assigned leadership responsibilities, which she was not afforded, responsibilities which furthered the male employee's ability to get promoted. So, and then here's another example. Despite her accomplishments, her male counterpart was invited to monthly or weekly one-on-one meetings with the vice president. Other female employees were assigned lower roles, denied equal pay, further delayed passed over for promotions for male counterparts, yada yada yada. So this is kind of the same thing reiterated a few times. And then the other big thing is female employees were also not promoted because of defendants' discriminatory practices against pregnant female employees. A female employee working on one game team had assumed some of the responsibilities of a manager, but when she asked her male supervisor about being fairly paid for the work she was actually doing and promoted into that position, the manager commented that he could not risk promoting her as she might get pregnant and like being a mom too much. In general, female employees were further treated negatively due to their pregnancies. Supervisors ignored medical restrictions given to female employees and gave them negative evaluations while they were out on maternity leave. Other female employees reported that they were criticized for leaving to pick their children up from daycare, or their male counterparts were playing video games and female employees were kicked out of lactation rooms so employees could use their room for meetings. So, and again, women of color were particularly vulnerable targets. This one was pretty well micromanaged. When she requested time off from work, her manager made her write a one-page summary of how she would spend that time off of work when no one else had to do any write-up. The male supervisor also criticized her body language, despite male counterparts slouching in meetings, and she was scolded for asking for assistance, while others could get help on similar tasks without the same criticism. So, lots and lots of that. Women complained to resource personnel about the lack of equal employment opportunities. Complaints fell on deaf ears, were met with empty promise to investigate the issue, despite having retained Paul Hastings LLP from 2015 to 2017, and Miller Law Group in 2018 to allegedly provide analysis related to compensation data. Defendants failed to take effective and reasonable steps to prevent pay discrimination. I may have to research these companies because they don't sound familiar to me, but So I'm assuming Miller Law Group is the people they're working with now. Actually, let's do a little bit of a dive into that. That doesn't tell me which one that it is. KPROC, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I can't seem to find any information about them. So, sexual harassment. So we talked a lot about this. This behavior was noted in supervisors and indeed encouraged by them, including a male supervisor, openly encouraging a male subordinate to buy a prostitute to cure his bad mood. What the fuck? Okay, so here we go. So Kenny, we talked about this person who was the senior creative director of World of Warcraft, Alex Afrasiabi. So this fucking dude, during a company event, annual convention called BlizzCon, he would hit on female employees, telling them he wanted to marry them, attempting to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors who had to intervene and pull him off of female employees. He was also known to engage in harassment of females that his suite was so known to engage in harassment of females that his suite was nicknamed the Crosby Suite after Cosby, after alleged rapist Bill Cosby. He would also call females derogatory names at company events. His conduct was known to Blizzard Entertainment, so executives who took no effective remedial measures. J. Allen Brack, president of Blizzard Entertainment, allegedly had multiple conversations with him about his drinking, that he had been too friendly towards female employees at company events, but gave him a slap on the wrist, i.e. verbal counseling. In response to those incidents, subsequently he continued to make unwanted advances towards female employees, including grabbing a female employee's hand and inviting her to his hotel room and groping another woman. So, and this, again, talking about the female employee who committed suicide. Another employee confirmed that the deceased female employee may have been suffering from other sexual harassment at work prior to her death. Yeah. Counseling or coaching, always. So, hiring... Defendant's former chief technology officer was observed by employees groping inebriated female employees at company events and was known for making hiring decisions based on female applicants' looks. An employee complained to Blizzard Entertainment President J. Allen Brack in early 2019 that employees were leaving due to sexual harassment and sexism. Specifically, this employee noted that women on the Battle.net team were subjected to disparaging comments. The environment was akin to working in a frat house, and that women who were not huge gamers or poor gamers and not into the party scene were excluded and treated as outsiders. So, talked about that. So, this is essentially all the things that the DEFH is actually suing for. So we'll list the main charges as we go along. So the first cause of action is employee discrimination because of sex compensation, employment discrimination because of sex promotion, employment discrimination because of sex termination, employment discrimination because of sex constructive discharge, employment discrimination because of sex harassment, retaliation, Failure to prevent discrimination and harassment on behalf of group. Failure to prevent discrimination and harassment on behalf of DFEH. Unequal pay. Waiver of rights, forums or procedures, and release of claims. Prayer for relief. We promote based on merit. Meritocracy can be really bullshit sometimes. For the most part, I believe in meritocracy, but it's very hit or miss, especially in American capitalism. So it's way too hit or miss. I agree. So this is everything. So that's the suit. So yeah, this is scary stuff, guys. I want to have some sort of faith that something will come out of this. But I don't feel good about it. Yeah. So thank you guys. I just kind of wanted to get some things off my chest about that. Sexism in the workplace is still very much a thing. And it sucks. I've been very lucky to be right now in a pretty good workforce. In fact, the accounting department at my company is all women, which is a rarity. Pretty much all the administration team, except for 2 people, are women, which actually really says a lot about our company culture. But while I want to hope for it to go well, considering every other gaming company has sort of gotten away with the things that they've gotten away with, I'm not going to hold my breath. Jeff Kaplan, director of Overwatch, led new development of Overwatch 2. That's usually a bad sign, a really bad sign. Yeah. So, one thing that I will share with you guys, I think there was an alternative floating around of, I don't know if I retweeted it or not. Let me see if I can find the tweet about it. There was a really nice infographic. Here we go. There was a different infographic about this, but so, you know, you have Candy Crush. So here's some good alternatives. We got Path of Exile. I know a few people have been talking about Path of Exile. So here's some good alternatives, I think. Actually, how far back was this? This was submitted a year ago. Okay. The fact that this infographic was made about a year ago tells me everything I need to know about how long some of this stuff has been going on. Activision's already been in hot water about a lot of different things, apparently. So the fact that this infographic was made a year ago, or submitted to Reddit a year ago, way before this happened, this may be a problem. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, one thing that we are going to work on today is a little bit of mapping. I do need to get my Anim ducks together, and then we are actually going to map. This is going to be for the Realm Seek Mapping Jam. I'm very excited about that. If you do !RD, you can get all the information about Realm Seek. But yeah, if you guys have your own alternatives, feel free to like list them on Twitter and I'll be happy to retweet them. All that good stuff. Because we have better alternatives. Some of them marginally better. Like Team Fortress is in fact a Valve game, which, you know, Steam and Valve all have their own questionable stuff going on, and I'm sure there'll only be a matter of time before we have to get, you know, Valve alternative games, but in the meantime, but it is what it is, right? Like, at this point, you kind of have to get the bad thing about American capitalism is that you kind of just have to pick what hell you're going to go through. Because you're going to go through some kind of hell. It's kind of just the thing that's going to happen. So... Warframe, yeah. Stellaris, I think, is a really good game. I could pretty much recommend Stellaris if you want to do anything 4X. Although I don't know if Activision ever did any 4X games. Candy Crush is trash anyway. Overwatch, I know, I think Apex... Who makes Apex, actually, before I say something? Oh, EA makes Apex. Maybe don't play Apex, EA makes that. I don't know. EA publishes it, so anything under EA's umbrella I don't tend to necessarily recommend. I do play The Sims and stuff, but I tend not to like things under EA's umbrella. Respawn are really good guys. Yeah, and that's fair. I do feel like Overwatch is, or I'm sorry, EA is like, I feel like Apex is probably a closer alternative to Overwatch as far as I've seen it, but I could be wrong. Trying to read Titanfall 1 and 2 and I'm at the hands of a hacker who's holding the... Oh god, that's horrible. And EA can't help them on that? Does EA not have the resources to, like, just fucking oust the hacker? Yeah, I should have known the answer to that one. Just a thought. I know it's fucking novel, I guess, but you're right though, Salino. You're right. I shouldn't have known. That's asking. Fair. This is fair. Oh, I hate that I have to be on this bullshit live streaming website. I'm mad that I have to be on Twitch. I'm mad that I have to be on Twitch or YouTube. It's either Twitch or YouTube at this point, because I can't go anywhere else for live streaming, really. There's no really good places for live streaming. I don't want to support Amazon, but yet here I am, because they have this fucking monopoly. Like, fucking hell. Can I just start my own live streaming service with blackjack and hookers? I hate everything. Okay. I'm gonna be done yelling, and then we're gonna get into some napping. We're gonna go...